السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته يا شيخنا. الحمد لله يا شيخنا.
كيف نبدأ؟
نعم يا شيخنا.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أما بعد. We are still reading from Siyar A'alām An-Nubala by Al-Hafiz Al-Dhahabi rahimahullah Shamsuddin, who has captured the biography of our eminent scholars in Islam. Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi rahimahullah spoke about Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, spoke about Umar, Uthman, Ali, and the rest of the companions, radiyallahu anhum, males and females. He came to the level of the Tabi'un, one after the other. He gave their biography, males and females. He came to the level of the At-Tibyān, males and females, up to those in his time, those who were scholars of Islam, their private life, their names, their lineage, their births, their deaths, their students, and the major events in their lives. Al-Imām Adh-Dhahabi captured it, Seerah by Seerah, for each of them. He compiled it in an entire book that he has titled Siyar A'alām An-Nubala, the biographies of our A'lam, our major scholars, and Nubala, who were people of esteem, rahimahumullah. We picked from it the Seerah of our mother Āishah, radiyallahu anha, Siddiqatu bint Siddiq, Habibatu Habibillah, radiyallahu anha. Siddiqa, the one who was absolutely truthful to Iman, the daughter of the one who was absolutely truthful to Iman, radiyallahu anha. Ahabbu Nāsi ila Rasulillah, the most beloved of the people, of human beings, to the Prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam. We had read the hadith where Amr ibn al-As, that hadith also occurs in Sahih Muslim. Amr ibn al-As directly came to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam and asked him, Man ahabbu nasi ilayk? Who is the most beloved of the people to you? The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, Āishah, radiyallahu anha. So it is a clear question. Man ahabbu nasi ilayk? Who is the most beloved of all human beings to you? Alayhi salatu wasalam. He was asked, and he said, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, one single word. What was that word? Āishah, radiyallahu anha. Amr ibn al-As said, radiyallahu anhu, min al-rijal. How about amongst the men? Because he thought that, maybe the Prophet thought, alayhi salatu wasalam, I was talking about the females. He said, how about amongst the males? The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Abuha, her father. So the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam clearly mentions to us that ahabbu nasi ilayhi Āishatu, radiyallahu anha. So it was appropriate that we studied her life. We took lessons from her life, her lineage, how she grew up, who were her teachers, who were her students, the major events in her life, how was her marriage to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how old was her with those major events, how did she handle those events, how did she handle her marriage, how was she learning from the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. And the copy of Siyar A'alām An-Nubala we took for these lessons was the printing of Mu'assasatul Risala. Mu'assasatul Risala has 2 prints, and the both of them were from the checking and editing of Shaykh Shu'aib al-Arnaout. The first and the second print were from Shaykh Shu'aib al-Arnaout from Mu'assasatul Risala. The difference between the two is the first of them occurs in 18 volumes. The first print of Mu'assasatul Risala occurs in 18 volumes. The second one occurs in 28 volumes. And it occurs with the forward, the Muqaddimah of Dr. Sheikh Bashar Awad Maruf. That is the print that we are upon. From that print, we are reading from the second volume, volume 2, page 135. We have read and read word for word, ikhwa. Word for word, point for point. We have tried to read word for word. We have tried to explain point for point. In fact, sometimes we went out of the narrations in Siyar A'alām An-Nubala to be sure that the story was complete, until we came to page 182 in this book, the Seerah of Āishah, that we have taken from Siyar A'alām An-Nubala in the print of Mu'assasatul Risala by Dr. Bashar Awad Maruf, having his muqaddim on it. It's on page 2, volume 2, page 183. So if you are looking at the print of Darul Hadith that was verified by Shaykh Muhammad Ayman Al-Shabrawi, that occurs in volume 3 from page 426. But because we are reading from the print of Mu'assasatul Risala, the last class we had was just last Friday. Walillahi alhamd, we were in Ramadan, yet we were still reminding ourselves about our models, about our A'alām An-Nubala, how we lived our lives in conformance with theirs. And we spoke about one very important thing about the life of Āishah, radiyallahu anha, and that was her deep knowledge about the sciences of healing. The deep knowledge of Āishah about what? The science of healing. Today we call it in a single word. We say what? Medicine. But it was the science of healing the sick, the science of curing illnesses. That is the science that became to be referred to as the science of medicine. Urwa ibn Zubair, who spent the large part of his early life with Āishah, radiyallahu anha. Urwa ibn Zubair was the son of Asma bint Abi Bakr as-Siddiq. So Urwa ibn Zubair lived inside the house of Āishah, radiyallahu anha. About a half of the knowledge of Urwa ibn Zubair was taken from Āishah, radiyallahu anha. Urwa ibn Zubair said, we are reading from page 183. Radiyallahu anha, Āishah radiyallahu anha, Urwa ibn Zubair said about her, ما رأيت أحدا أعلم بالطب من عائشة رضي الله عنها. ما رأيت أحدا, I never saw anyone أعلم بالطب من عائشة رضي الله عنها, who knew the science of healing, the science of providing cure for illnesses, like Āishah radiyallahu anha Siddiqa. فقلت يا خالة. So one day I asked her, Ya Khala, oh my aunt. Don't forget that she was Urwa's Khala. The Khala is the aunt from the mother. The aunt from the mother. We say maternal aunt. So Āishah was Urwa's maternal aunt. So Urwa would say, Ya Khalatu, mimman ta'allamti tib. Oh my aunt, mimman ta'allamti tib. From who did you learn medicine? From you, who did you learn that science of providing cure for the ill. قالت, Aisha said, رضي الله عنها, كنت أسمع للناس ينعت بعضهم لبعض فأحفظه. كنت أسمع للناس ينعت بعضهم لبعض فأحفظه. I will listen to the people. They will narrate to themselves how to provide cure. فأحفظه. And then I will memorize it. In the report before that, she said, radiyallahu anha, that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam kana yasqamu inda akhiri umrihi. The Prophet would fall ill in the last parts of his life. وَكَانَتْ تَقْدَمُ عَلَيْهِ وُفُودُ الْعَرَبِ مِنْ كُلِّ وَجْهٍ. كَانَتْ تَقْدَمُ عَلَيْهِ وُفُودُ الْعَرَبِ مِنْ كُلِّ وَجْهٍ. And the delegations of the Arabs were coming to him min kulli wajhin, from different directions. فَتَنْعَتُ لَهُ الْأَنْعَاتِ. So the people used to give him prescriptions. تَنْعَتُ لَهُ. They would describe an'at, prescriptions to him. Alayhi salatu wassalam. وَكُنْتُ أُعَالِجُهَا لَهُ. And I was the one who used to provide him the medicine. أُعَالِجُهَا لَهُ. I was the one who would give him the medicine to take. Famin Samma, she said, that was, it was from there. Yani Famin Hunak. It was from there. It was from there that she learned the art of curing illnesses. Radiyallahu anha. We come down to the second to the last paragraph on page 183, where Imām Adh-Dhahabi went on to speak about Āishah again, radiyallahu anha. He said, Ibrāhīm ibn al-Munzir, he is citing this isnad from Ibrāhīm ibn al-Munzir. Imām Adh-Dhahabi was citing this narration that he will bring to us now from Ibrāhīm ibn al-Munzir. He's who said, حدثنا Umar ibn Uthman عن ابن شهاب حدثنا القاسم ابن محمد أن معاوية دخل على عائشة فكلمها. Ibrāhīm ibn al-Munzir al-Hizami, he said, حدثنا Umar ibn Uthman, that is Umar ibn Uthman at-Taymi. Umar ibn Uthman at-Taymi Abu Hafs al-Madani, who was reporting from Ibn Shihab. Ibn Shihab is Muhammad ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. He said, حدثنا القاسم ibn Muhammad. Al-Qasim ibn Muhammad was one of the grandchildren of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anha, or radiyallahu anhu. So Al-Qasim said, that is the grandson of Abu Bakr from Muhammad. He said, Anna Muawiyah dakhala ala Āishah, that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan dakhala ala Āishah radiyallahu anha. He came to visit Āishah fakallamaha. So when he came during the visit, kallamaha, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan spoke to Āishah. قال, Al-Qasim said, فَلَمَّا قَامَ مُعَاوِيَةُ. When Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan had spoken to Āishah, he then stood up. اتَّكَأَ عَلَى يَدِ مَوْلَاهَا ذَكْوَانِ. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan now rested. He leaned on the hand of Zakwan. We remember that Āishah had a freed slave whose name was what? Zakwan, Abu Amir al-Madani. Zakwan, he used to be called Zakwan Mawla Āishah radiyallahu anha wa radiyallahu anhu. Zakwan ittaka'a ala yadi mawlaha Zakwan. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan now leaned on the hands of Zakwan, the freed slave of Āishah radiyallahu anha. Faqal, Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan now said, Wallahi, I swear by Allah, ma sami'tu qattu ablagha min Āishah radiyallahu anha. Just said that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan now said, Ma sami'tu ablagha min Āishah. I have never listened to someone who was so eloquent in speech. Ma sami'tu ablagha min Āishata. I had never heard anyone so eloquent min Āishah, more than Āishah. Radiyallahu anha. Laysa Rasulallah. It was said in this report that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan said, not even the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam. Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan said, Laysa Rasulallah. But this athar is weak according to the Imām Adh-Dhahabi. That was why just immediately after it, Imām Adh-Dhahabi said, Rahimahullah, that Umar ibn Uthman at-Taymi laysa bis-sabt. Umar ibn Uthman at-Taymi laysa bis-sabt. Umar ibn Uthman at-Taymi, who reported it from Ibn Shihab bin al-Zuhri, the Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, laysa bis-sabt. He's not a well-grounded reporter of hadith. Imam Adh-Dhahabi was not alone in saying that. Long before him, Al-Imam Yahya ibn Ma'in said, La a'rifuhu, meaning I don't know him to be a trustworthy reporter. So this isnad is a weak isnad. Why? It has Umar ibn Uthman, who is an unknown reporter of hadith in its isnad. So, but Al-Imam Al-Zahabi has just brought it here for us to know that such a thing was said, such a thing was reported regarding Āishah, that Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan was reported to have said that Ma ra'aytu ma sami'tu qattu ablagha min Āishah radiyallahu anha. The report that follows this is also a report about our mother Āishah and another major incident in her life. Another major incident in the life of Āishah. We had mentioned a number of incidences. From that, we mentioned Qissatul Ifk, which was one of the biggest incidents in her life. We mentioned the loss of her qilada, Yawmu al-Abwa, when she lost her necklace. It was another major incident in her life, radiyallahu anha. We mentioned her going to Kufa after Uthman ibn Affan was killed, radiyallahu anhum. It was a major incident in the life of our mother Āishah. The narration we want to read now is another major incident in the life of Āishah. This time it was between herself and Abdullahi ibn Zubair. Between herself and Abdullahi ibn Zubair, radiyallahu anhum. Al-Imam Adh-Dhahabi said, Az-Zuhri, it means that this report comes from Al-Imam Al-Zuhri min riwayati Ma'mar wal-Awza'i anhu, from the report of Ma'mar. Ma'mar here was Al-Imam Ma'mar ibn Rashid, rahimahullah, wal-Awza'i. Al-Awza'i is that Imam from Sham, Abdur-Rahman Al-Awza'i, rahimahullah. And then Al-Dhahabi said, وَهَذَا لَفْظُ الْأَوْزَاعِيِّ أَنْهُ. But this expression of this narration is from the report of Al-Awza'i anhu, يعني عن الزهري. So Al-Awza'i reported it from Imam Al-Zuhri, and likewise Ma'mar ibn Rashid reported it from Al-Imam Al-Zuhri. وَهَذَا لَفْظُ الْأَوْزَاعِيِّ أَنْهُ. But this expression now we want to talk about is as it was reported by Al-Awza'i from who? From Al-Imam Al-Zuhri. Who is Al-Zuhri? Muhammad ibn Muslim ibn Shihab ibn Al-Zuhri, rahimahullah. So Al-Imam Al-Zuhri said, أخبرني عوف ibn Tufail ibn al-Harith. There's an error here. Auf ibn Tufail ibn al-Harith al-Azdi. This is as it was written here, but it's a mistake. The correct thing is Auf ibn al-Harith. We shall come back to it. The correct thing is Auf ibn al-Harith ibn Tufail, not Auf ibn Tufail ibn al-Harith. No, it is the other way. Awfun ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl. Not Awfun ibn al-Tufayl. It is Awfun ibn al-Harith. So al-Harith is the father, al-Tufayl is the grandfather. Not that al-Tufayl is the father and al-Harith is the grandfather. This person is a well-known person in the history of Islam. Awfun ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl. Because Ruman, the mother of Āishah, she had had a child, she had had some children before she became married to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. She had children from a marriage different from her marriage from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. And in fact, that marriage was from a man from Yemen, because the asl of Auf ibn al-Harith is Yemen. That's why he's ascribed and said he is al-Azdi. He is from Yemen. Auf ibn al-Harith is from Yemen. He is radiyallahu anhu. And because al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl was the person, al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl. Because here we have Auf ibn al-Harith. We shall come back to it. Ibn Akhi Āishah. They refer to Auf as Ibn Akhi Āishah. So Al-Harith ibn Tufayl. Al-Harith ibn Tufayl is the brother to Āishah radiyallahu anha from Āishah's mother Ruman. So one of the children of Āishah's mother was who? Al-Harith ibn Tufayl. Al-Harith ibn Tufayl was from amongst the brothers of Āishah, step brother to Āishah. From who? From Ruman. Let's note this. Ruman, the mother of Āishah, she has children apart from Abu Bakr as-Siddiq before her marriage to Abu Bakr. From the children she has was who? Al-Harith ibn Tufayl. This Auf ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl is the son of that man Al-Harith, meaning that Al-Harith is like a nephew to our mother Āishah, because Auf, the son of Al-Harith, is a nephew to Āishah. Al-Harith, the father of Auf, is the brother to Āishah. I hope that it is clear to us. So Auf is a nephew to our mother Āishah, and she is an aunt to him from the father side. Āishah is the aunt to Auf from the father side. I hope that is clear. Bismillah. So they say, أخبرني عوف ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl. Please correct your print. It is Auf ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl al-Azdi. وهو ابن أخي عائشة. Auf is who? Ibn Akhi Āishah. So who is Akhu Āishah? Al-Harith. I hope that is clear. We had discussed this matter in Al-Adab al-Mufrad a long time ago. Al-Harith is a brother to Āishah from Āishah's mother Ruman. Ruman gave birth to Harith. Ruman gave birth to Āishah. Ruman gave birth to Al-Harith, to a husband she had married whose name was what? At-Tufayl. Ruman gave birth to Āishah, to another husband who was who? Abu Bakr as-Siddiq. I hope that it is clear. So Āishah had half brothers from her mother. She also has half brothers and sisters from her father. I hope that it is clear. Bismillah. وهو ابن أخي عائشة. And Al-Harith ibn Tufayl happens also not just that they were brothers from the same mother, they were also breastfed from the same woman. You know, Arabs had that. When they have a child, they take it to a woman who is known to be very brilliant, to be full of good manners, to breastfeed for them. So both Āishah and Al-Harith were breastfed by the same mother. So it was Auf, the son of Al-Harith, who reported this narration. What did he report? Anna Āishah radiyallahu anha balagaha anna Abdullahi ibn Zubair kana fi darin laha ba'atha فَتَسَخَّطُ عبد الله رضي الله عنه بيعة الكدار. So Auf ibn al-Harith ibn al-Tufayl reported that Āishah radiyallahu anha balaghaha anna Abdullahi ibn Zubair kana fi darin laha ba'atha. He had sold a property that he had. Āishah sold a dar. She sold a property that she had. Now, balagaha anna Abdullah kana fi dar. She now heard that Abdullah ibn Zubair went to that landed property. Āishah had a landed property. She sold the landed property. And Abdullah ibn Zubair heard about it and went to the place. فَتَسَخَّطُ Abdullah بَيْعَةِ الْكَدَّارِ. Abdullah ibn Zubair tasakhatu. He became displeased and spoke angrily. Why would Āishah sell that landed property? For call. Because he was angry, Abdullah ibn Zubair now said, Amma wallahi, I swear by Allah, la tantahiyanna Āishatu min bay'i riba'iha. Āishah should hold back from selling this important property, from selling this very pricey thing. Or la ahjuranna alayha. Or I will hold back her hands. I will stop her. La ahjuranna. This kalima, al-hajru, the scholars say it is al-man'u min at-tasarrufi ala ma yumna'u as-saghiru aw as-safihu. They say it is al-man'u min at-tasarruf. Al-hajr, what Ibn Zubair was saying is that I was going to prevent her the way children and people of low intellect, they are prevented from being on authority over their property. You see, that's a bit tough to have come from Abdullah ibn Zubair towards Āishah. Abdullah ibn Zubair was not pleased that Āishah radiallahu anha had sold the property. فَتَسَخَّطُ Abdullah بَيْعَةِ الْكَدَّارِ. Abdullah ibn Zubair was very angry at why Āishah radiallahu anha should have sold that place. That made him to say, Amma wallahi, in fact, I swear by Allah, that tantahiyanna Āishatu min bay'i riba'iha. Āishah should hold back from selling this property. Or I'm going to hold back her hand by myself. If she does not hold back, I will hold her back. Abdullah ibn Zubair was reported to have said that, as if to say Āishah radiallahu anha went beyond bounds. Unfortunately, this land belongs to her radiallahu anha. And then she was a learned person. She was matured radiallahu anha. She has a right over the land. She has a right to do whatever she will. In fact, in another report, it was said that Abdullah ibn Zubair said, Yambagi an yu'khadha ala yadiha. It is very necessary an yu'khadha ala yadiha, that someone should hold back Aisha's hand from selling that property. قالت عائشة رضي الله عنها. The matter balaghaha. The matter got back to Aisha radiyallahu anha. So she said, Awaqala dhalik. Is it true? Awaqala dhalik. Is it true that Abdullah ibn Zubayr said that? Radiyallahu anha. Qalu qad kana dhalik. Say, it happened. It has happened like that. He had actually said what we have reported that. He said, Qalat. Āishah radiyallahu anha said, Lillahi alayya nadhrun alla ukallimahu hatta yufarriqa bayni wa baynahu al-mawtu. Lillahi alayya nadhrun. I take it upon myself and I make Allah a witness. Lillahi. alayya nazrun, it becomes a vow on me, and I make Allah a witness. Allah ukallimahu, I will never ever speak with Abdullah ibn Zubair. I will never talk to him again. Hatta yufarriqa bayni wa baynahu al-maut, until death will separate between myself and Abdullah ibn Zubair. I will never ever speak with Abdullah ibn Zubair until death will separate us. Radiyallahu anha, Āishah was very, very annoyed. So she said, Lillahi alayya nazrun alla ukallimahu hatta yufarriqa bayni wa baynahu al-maut, until death will separate between myself and Abdullah ibn Zubair. فَطَالَتْ هِجْرَتُهَا إِيَّاهُ. So it continued like that, and she never spoke to Abdullah ibn Zubair. She never allowed him to come to her residence. Abdullah ibn Zubair tried a lot of effort. We shall read them, inshallah, to be able to connect with our mother Āishah. But she refused, because she counted it that Abdullah ibn Zubair said about her what he has no right to say. Āishah fi manzilati walidiki. Āishah wa walidati. Āishah was in the status of the mother of Abdullah ibn Zubair, because al-khalatu fi manzilati al-walida. The maternal aunt is in the status of the mother. The maternal aunt, Āishah, was the maternal aunt to who? Abdullah ibn Zubair. So that's in the status of the mother of Abdullah ibn Zubair. And actually, Āishah brought up Abdullah ibn Zubair in her house. So why should it be that when Āishah does something, Abdullah ibn Zubair will be saying that لَتَنْتَهِيَنَّ عَائِشَةُ مِنْ بَيْهِ عِبَائِهَا أَوْ لَأَحْجُرَنَّ عَلَيْهَا. Aisha should rather stop selling this property, or لَأَحْجُرَنَّ عَلَيْهَا, I will hold her hands. And then he went on to say that يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يُؤْخَذَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يُؤْخَذَ عَلَى يَدِهَا. It is necessary that someone holds back the hand of Aisha. Why should Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu anhu say this about our mother radiyallahu anhu? So it took a long time, and Aisha had set aside Abdullah ibn Zubayr. فَنَقَّصَهُ اللَّهُ بِذَلِكَ فِي أَمْرِهِ كُلِّهِ فَطَالَتْ هِجْرَتُهَا إِيَّاهُ. فنقصه الله بذلك في أمره كله طالت هجرته إياه. Aisha's abandoning Abdullah ibn Zubayr was for a long time. فنقصه الله بذلك في أمره كله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made that a reason for Abdullah ibn Zubayr to have an naqsu fi amrihi kullihi. He had a problem. He had troubles in almost everything he was doing. Whatever he set his hands, he got a naqs. Whatever he set his hands on, he got a naqs. I mean, Abdullah ibn Zubayr, he started to feel Aisha's abandoning him. He started to feel it in everything that he did. That was why it was reported that naqasahu Allahu bidhalik. Allah made it a means of loss for Abdullah ibn Zubayr radiyallahu anhuma. Fi amrihi kullihi. In all his affairs, he felt the pain of Aisha's abandoning her radiyallahu anha wa radiyallahu anhu. فاستشفع بكل أحد يرى أنه يدخل عليها فأبت أن تكلمه. فاستشفع بكل أحد يرى أنه يدخل عليها. So because Abdullah ibn Zubayr felt a loss في أمره كله, he felt that Allah made him lose. He felt a setback in about everything that he did. استشفع بكل أحد. Abdullah ibn Zubayr began to go to people. He began to ask them to help him to beg Aisha radiyallahu anha. And he did that بِكُلِّ أَحَدٍ, with anybody يَرَى أَنَّهُ يَسْكُلُ عَلَيْهَا. Whoever she feels that will have a place of integrity in the hands of Āishah. Abdullah ibn Zubair went to that person. Whenever Abdullah ibn Zubair felt that there is anyone who will have yasqulu alayha, who will have an important place before Āishah, Abdullah ibn Zubair went to those persons. In some reports it said that فَاسْتَشْفَعَ إِلَيْهَا بِرِجَالٍ مِّن Quraysh, to the extent that Abdullah ibn Zubayr went to some of the elders amongst the Quraysh, amongst the companions, requesting them to help him beg Āishah radiyallahu anha wa akhwali Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam khasatan, and akhwal, the relatives of the Prophet's mother alayhi salatu wasalam. Abdullah ibn Zubayr went to them, please help me beg Āishah. فَامْتَنَعَتْ, but our mother Āishah was refusing. Radiyallahu anha. There were a lot of people that Abdullah ibn Zubayr contacted to help him beg Āishah. فَأَبَتْ أَن تُكَلِّمَهُ, but our mother Āishah refused to speak with Abdullah ibn Zubayr because of that statement that Abdullah ibn Zubayr had made. Wallahi, لَتَنْتَهِيَنَّ عَائِشَةُ أَنْ بَيْءِ رِبَائِهَا أَوْ لَأَحْجُرَنَّ عَلَيْهَا. Aisha should stop selling that property. أَوْ لَأَحْجُرَنَّ عَلَيْهَا, or I will hold her hand. If she does not hold back, I will stop her. Aisha was very, 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 very angry over that statement from Abdullah ibn Zubayr towards her. So she decided فأبت أن تكلمه رضي الله عنه فطالت هجرته إياه فنقصه الله بذلك في أمره كله فاستشفع بكل أحد يرى أنه يثقل عليها فأبت أن تكلمه. فلما طال ذلك, when the time became so long on that our mother Āishah had abandoned Abdullah ibn Zubayr, كلم المسور ابن مخرمة. Abdullah ibn Zubayr spoke with al-Miswar ibn Makhrama, Abu Abdurrahman, wa Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad ibn Abdi Yaghuth. He also, Abdullah ibn Zubayr also spoke to Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad ibn Abdi Yaghuth. Both of them, al-Miswar ibn Makhrama and Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad, both of them were from Banu Zahra. He spoke to them to please help me beg Āishah radiyallahu anha. Abdullah ibn Zubayr, in another report, it said that he went to the two of them and said, Anshudukuma billahi, I beg the two of you in the name of Allah, Lama adkhaltumani ala Āishah. Please help me, adkhaltumani, help me get me into the house of Āishah. فإنها لا تحل لها أن تنظر قطيعتي. لا تحل لها أن تنظر قطيعتي. It is not appropriate, it is not lawful for her to vow to disconnect from me. So help me, get me into her apartment. So Abdullah ibn Zubayr went to al-Miswar ibn Makrama and Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad and yashmalahu bi ardiyatihima. He requested that they should do that with their ardiyah, yani with their rida, that is the upper garment that they wear. They should cover him up with their upper garment. Summa yasta'adhina, then the two of them should ask for permission from her. فَإِذَا أَذِنَتْ لَهُمَا, when she allowed them to say, okay, come in. Qala, the two of them said, Kulluna, is it all of us that should come in? Hatta yudkhilahu ala Āishah. They said that so that they could bring Abdullah ibn Zubair into Āishah's apartment. فَفَعَلَ ذَلِكَ. They did that. They covered him with their rida. Then ista'adhana, they asked for permission from Āishah. And when she said, who are those? They said, should we all come in? Kulluna. They said, yes. He said, yes. فَقَالَتْ نَعَمْ كُلُّكُمْ فَلْيَدْخُلْ. Yes, all of you should come in. I hope that we get what Miswar ibn Makhrama and Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad did with Abdullah ibn Zubair. He asked her, Kulluna. She said, yes, kullukum, na'am, kullukum, falyadkhul, all of you should come in. Wala tash'ur, radiyallahu anha. In another report, it said, Wala ta'alamu anna ma'ahuma ibn Zubair. She did not know that ibn Zubair was with them. Fadakhala ma'ahuma ibn Zubair. Abdullah ibn Zubair now entered together with the two of them. Fakashafa sitra. He removed the covering. You know, if you come into her house, there's a covering. He removed the covering because he's due to be able to see her. Abdullah ibn Zubair is the nephew of Āishah. Āishah is the aunt of Abdullah ibn Zubair. So he can get to where both Miswar and Abdurrahman will not be able to get to in that house. So she removed the curtains. فَأَتَنَقَهَا وَبَكَى. Abdullah ibn Zubair held her on the neck and then he began to cry. وَبَكَتْ عَائِشَةُ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهَا بُكَاءً كَثِيرًا. Āishah radiallahu anha also began to cry, buka'an, a kind of a crying, kathira, that was much. Radiallahu anhuma. وَنَاشَدَهَا ibn Zubair Allah warrahim. Ibn Zubair nashadaha, began to ask her strongly. Allah began to ask her strongly using Allah warrahim and the ties of kinship. Was saying, remember Allah, don't forget, you are my aunt, Nashadaha Allah warrahim. Ibn Zubair began to ask her strongly, reminding her about Allah, the ties of kinship. Wa nashadaha Miswaru wa Abdurrahman billahi warrahim. Likewise, Al-Miswar ibn Makhrama and Abdurrahman ibn al-Aswad were also reminding our mother Āishah radiyallahu anha about the statements of Allah regarding the importance of the ties of kinship. وَذَكَّرَ لَهَا قَوْلَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صلى الله عليه وسلم. Both Al-Miswar and Abdurrahman, the both of them were telling Āishah قَوْلَ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that لا يحل لمسلم أن يهجر أخاه فوق ثلاث. It is not lawful for a Muslim أن يهجر أخاه فوق ثلاث. It is not lawful for a Muslim to abandon his brother for more than 3 days. فلما أكثروا عليها, when they began to say a lot of that to her, reminding her about Allah, reminding her about the ties of kinship, kallamathu, she accepted, and then she began to speak with Abdullah ibn Zubair. Ba'dama khashiya Allah tukallimahu, after she had completely decided Allah tukallimahu, never to speak to him. In some other report, it said the two of them, he began to say to them that inni qad nazartu, I have vowed, wa nazru shadid, and vow is a very strong and important thing. Fala yazala biha hatta kallamat ibn Zubair, but they continued to press her, to remind her, to appease to her, to appeal to her, hatta kallamat ibn Zubair, until she agreed, and then she spoke with Abdullah ibn Zubair. Then after that, ثم بعثت إلى اليمن بمال. Then Aisha sent a lot of money to Yemen. فابتيع لها 40 رقبة. فابتيع لها 40 رقبة. So they purchased for her 40 slaves. فاعتقتها رضي الله عنها. فابتيع لها 40 رقبة فاعتقتها. She sent money to Yemen رضي الله عنها. فابتيع لها بعثت إلى اليمن بمال. She sent a lot of money to Yemen. فابتيع لها 40 رقبة. So 40 slaves were purchased for her. فاعتقتها. And then she freed all the 40 slaves. You know, if someone makes a vow in Islam and then you change that vow, you have a duty to free slaves. What did he say in Al-Baqarah? فَكَفَّارَتُهُ إِطْعَامُ عَشَرَةِ مَسَاكِينَ مِنْ أَوْسَطِ مَا تُطْعِمُونَ أَهْلِيكُمْ أَوْ كِسْوَتُهُمْ أَوْ تَحْرِيرُ رَقَبَةٍ. So she did not only free one slave, she freed 40 slaves because of that vow that she was breaking. رضي الله عنها. قال Auf ibn al-Harith ibn Tufayl, the son of Aisha's brother, now said, ثم سمعتها بعد تذكر نذرها ذلك. Then after that incident, سمعتها, after that time, سمعتها بعد, I heard her afterwards, تذكر نذرها ذلك. She would remember that vow that she had vowed. فتبكي. Then she will begin to cry. حتى تبل خمارها. فتبكي حتى تبل خمارها. She will begin to cry until her veils will become wet, because the vowing was very strong that she was not going to talk to Abdullah ibn Zubair for saying something like that to her. رضي الله عنها. that لتنتهين عائشة من بيع ربائها أو لأحجرن عليها. A major point of lessons, Ikhwa, I like to point us to in this matter, that don't take it for granted that you are close to somebody and then you can say anything about that person. Don't take it for granted. Because the scholars say, radiyallahu anhum, that وَكَانَ Abdullah ibn Zubair أَحَبَّ الْبَشَرِ إِلَى عَائِشَةَ بَعْدَ النَّبِيِّ وَأَبِي بَكْرٍ الصِّدِّيقِ. Abdullah ibn Zubair كَانَ أَحَبَّ الْبَشَرِ إِلَى عَائِشَةَ. He was the most beloved of human beings to Aisha. بَعْدَ النَّبِيِّ وَأَبِي بَكْرٍ الصِّدِّيقِ. After the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, the most beloved person to Aisha was who? Abdullah ibn Zubair radiyallahu anhu. وَكَانَ أَبَرَّ النَّاسِ بِهَا. And she was one of the most useful people to her. Abdullah ibn Zubair was always with Aisha. He learned from her and he went for her errands. She will be sending him, go here, do this, do that. Radiyallahu anha. So Abdullah ibn Zubair was a person who was so loved by Aisha. But look at what he said and look at the result of it. That's why we all must be careful. When you talk to your younger brother, be careful. When you talk to your elder brother, be careful. When you talk to your wife, be careful. Don't take it. When you talk to your husband, be careful. Don't take it for granted. Oh, he loves me, he won't react. He may react. Just mind what you say and be sure that you don't say to people except something that will bring harmony and mutual understanding amongst the people. Don't say to the people something that will, if not properly, handled, will become a means of trouble. Abdullah ibn Zubayr was pained, feeling that Āishah radiallahu anha was not right to have sold that property. But she was wondering that, yes, even if that was the case, isn't there a way you should talk to me? Should you talk to me like that? Am I not your aunt? Or you took it for granted that you have access to me and then you can say what you want? So we should be careful for the sake of Allah. وَكُلِّ عِبَادِي يَقُولُ الَّتِي هِيَ أَقْوَمُ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ يَنْزَغُ بَيْنَكُمْ إِنَّ الشَّيْطَانَ كَانَ لِلْإِنسَانِ عَدُوًّا مُبِينًا. Allah said, tell my servants, when they speak to one another, they should say what is appropriate. Because shaitan can bring negative thinking. Don't take it for granted. He's my father. I can tell him anything. You can tell him and it becomes another thing in his mind. Oh, it's my younger brother. I can tell him anything. You can tell him, it has another meaning in his mind. Abdullahi ibn Zubair was just pained. Why should Āishah sell that pricey land? And then he had to make that statement. And one of it was a very strong one, that يَنْبَغِي أَنْ يُؤْخَذَ عَلَى يَدِهَا. It is necessary that somebody should hold back the hands of Āishah. How would the nephew said that to his maternal aunt? So Āishah radiallahu anha found it offensive, and she vowed never to speak to the people in Medina. All the elders were going to beg Āishah. She refused. She rejected their plea on behalf of Abdullahi ibn Zubair. So for the sake of Allah, we should be careful about what we say to ourselves, because it may have meanings we don't intend. And even not just when it has meanings we don't intend, sometimes we actually intend it. But we took it for granted. Many times this one happens. Students speak to their teachers, they take it for granted. And then they say what they are not supposed to say. And then it becomes a means of a trouble between them. May Allah protect all of us and forgive all of us. I think we can stop here today and continue from there. We are near the end of this class. We are near the end of the Seerah of Āishah radiallahu anha. We have read about 80% word for word, trying to explain what has been narrated about her radiallahu anha. We hope that we pick another book, inshallah, after this with Āishah. Perhaps we pick Al-Fusul fi Sirat al-Rasul by Al-Hafiz ibn Kathir, or we pick another book, Hirasat al-Fadila by Shaykh Bakr ibn Abdullah Abu Zayd, inshallah. Either of them is in consideration. May Allah guide us to that which is best for us. But I think we can stop here today so that we can take questions. Radiyallahu anha, about this issue between Abdullah ibn Zubair and Āishah radiyallahu anha.
Salawatullah alaykum ya Shaykh.
Ameen wa iyaakum. Aba Amir.
Abu Abdurrahman.
Abu Abdurrahman. Naam.
This one says, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh ya Shaykh. If for any valid reason a child's name is changed, does it necessitate slaughtering another aqiqah without no offense?
I mean, when the child's name is changed, it does not necessitate another aqiqah. The name of the child is one thing. The aqiqah is another thing. The aqiqah is for the child irrespective of whatever name he has. So the name is something. Slaughtering the ram over the child is another thing altogether. So they do not affect themselves. I hope that it is clear. That's why you can name even when you have not slaughtered. And you can also slaughter while you are naming. So they don't affect themselves at all. Naming a child is a different worship regarding the child, slaughtering the ram on the 7th day of the child's birth. It's another worship with its own rulings. I hope that it is clear, inshallah. Ameen wa antum.
What is it for organizing each form? Each form.
Organizing Eid from fair, if it's about gathering families, gathering children, or some women, or some men, they gather together, eat food together, drink lawful drinks amongst themselves, and relate to themselves lawfully, play lawful plays amongst themselves. This is lawful, inshallah. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah in Al-Majmu', he mentions it from amongst the sunan of the days of Eid. Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah mentions coming together to eat food and the like of that as from the sunan, of the days of Eid. We would remember that we have also read it here in the Seerah of Āishah, that some of the tribes in Medina on the days of Eid, they had plays they play. And the Prophet ﷺ did not stop them. He was even watching them too. So it is lawful to organize plays, food eating, and things like that. What I think in our own time we should be careful about is doing something that involves male and female free mixing. If there is no free mixing and there is no haram talks or haram plays or talks and plays that are only known with kuffar, talks and plays that today nobody plays like that except kuffar. Let's not bring those kinds of play to the midst of Muslims. Talks and plays that we don't know it except with kuffar. We should not bring those kinds of talks, those kinds of plays in the gatherings of Muslims in the names of form fair. That is the issue. I am always afraid about form fair when we ask questions like that. As harmless as it sounds, it can be very harmful if you see some of the things that women will be doing. How will a Muslim woman go in the public, in a garden, public, and then she's running? When the Prophet ran with Āishah radiallahu anha, we heard it. It was not in front of anybody. So if a woman wants to do a race or exercise, it will be complete privacy. So when she comes, there are men there, there are women there, and then she's running, the best couple to run, and all these kinds of plays. They are plays that will lead to haram, plays that will destroy homes. Male and female begin to interact without, some even send banners that they'll be writing under it that you should come and search for a girl to marry. All these kinds of things are plays that are bad. It is like pouring petrol in a generator that is working. When you organize a program and you say men should come and look for a wife to marry in that place, you bring men and women together. And then you say, men, prepare to come and look for a wife. Or you sisters, prepare to come and look for a husband. In that same gathering, you bring men and women together. You are pouring petrol in a generator that is working. I am sure we all know what that means. Generator is working and you are pouring petrol inside it. May Allah protect all of us. So if it's just about women gather amongst themselves, men gather amongst themselves, they talk, they play, they eat, they discuss issues, they ask themselves questions, and they felicitate and enjoy themselves, there is no blame, inshallah, if it is just about that. I hope that it is clear, inshallah, about the Rahman. Ameen, yeah.
Another question says, I remember this hadith was read in Adab class last. And then one can also feed the poor or fast for 3 days while breaking the rule. Is this correct, considering that our mother feed 40 slaves?
Yes, we read the verse to us. The first option is it'amu asharati masakin, feeding 10 poor persons. If you are breaking a vow, the first thing about it is it'amu asharati masakin, feeding 10 poor persons. Aw kiswatuhum, or provide them clothes. Aw tahriru raqaba, or you can see or is there. It'amu asharati masakin, either you should be ready to feed 10 poor persons, aw kiswatuhum, or that you provide 10 poor persons clothing, aw tahriru raqaba, or that you free a slave. If you free one slave, it is already enough for you. But the way they behave those days is, in situations like this, she will not free one slave. She freed 40 slaves. She freed 40 slaves upon that vow that she made. Radiallahu anha. She freed 40 slaves upon her vow. I hope that the question is clear and the response is clear, unless I don't understand the question about Abdurrahman. Did that answer the question? Yeah. Asking for what?
I learned one can also feed the poor or fast for 3 days while breaking a vow.
Yes. فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ, whoever does not have these first 3 things. The first thing is you either feed, or you clothe, or you free a slave. If you don't have the ability for any of these things, Allah says, فَمَنْ لَمْ يَجِدْ فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةَ أَيَّامٍ فَصِيَامُ ثَلَاثَةِ أَيَّامٍ. It is when you don't have any one of these that you can now fast for 3 days. It says, ذَلِكَ كَفَّارَةُ أَيْمَانِكُمْ إِذَا حَلَفْتُمْ. That is the kafara. It is when you don't have those first 3 things, you can now fast for 3 days. If you can clothe, if you can feed, if you can free slaves, you should do them first. It is when you cannot do any one of these 3, you are now obligated to fast for 3 days. That is when fasting comes. Fasting is not the first thing. I hope that it's clear. آمين وإياكم.
When we say as-salatu khairu min an-nawm, is it during first or second azan?
That's a long issue we can't take at this kind of a session. When do we say as-salatu khairu min an-nawm? The committee in the masjid should sit down with their scholars and determine which of the positions they will take. The committee in your masjid should sit down to determine which of the positions they will take. Some of the scholars say as-salatu khairu min an-nawm should come before the emergence of al-fajr. They depend on the hadith of Abu Mahzur, the muazzin of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Mecca when the Prophet was alive. Abu Mahzura was made the muazzin by the Prophet himself. He was a young boy with very sweet voices. He was the muazzin in Mecca at the time that Bilal was muazzin in Medina. The hadith is authentic. It occurs in Sunan al-Nasa'i. That is one hadith. The second hadith is the hadith of Bilal and others that the scholars draw from to say, and the hadith of Abdullahi ibn Mughaffal, to say that as-salatu khairu min an-nawm will come after tulu' al-fajr, before the salat itself. The scholars have argued very strongly about this. So let's not give you a fatwa from here. Let your teachers, your learned people in your masjid, let them sit down to determine after looking at the evidences which of the position they want to take. But my own view regarding this matter, and Allah knows best, is the view of those who say that as-salatu khairu min an-nawm will come before Fajr. As-salatu khairu min an-nawm is to tell the person on Qiyamul Layl that he should round up, and to wake the one who has not woken up at all, stand up. As-salatu khairu min an-nawm is to tell the person sleeping, stand up. Or to tell the one who is already on Qiyamul Layl, round up. As for the adhan of Salatul Fajr, that should be like the orders amongst the 5 daily salah. The way we make adhan for 5 daily salah, that is the way we make adhan for Salatul Fajr itself, when the Fajr emerges. So this is what we have from the hadith of Abu Mahzura, who said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him to make adhan, and that in the first adhan he should add as-salatu khairu min an-nawm. Allahu a'lam. Ameen wa antum.
If parents doesn't approve her marriage, can she proceed with the marriage?
Who is asking?
The lady is asking.
Naam?
The question is from a female.
A woman is asking that question?
Yes.
That if her parents do not approve of her marriage, can she proceed? These kinds of questions should not be asked in this kind of a form. Please go back to your family and sit down with them and resolve the matter. As a woman, you can't marry alone. أيما امرأة نكحت بغير إذن وليها فنكاحها باطل. فنكاحها باطل. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that any woman nukihat, who was married بغير إذن وليها, without the clear-cut permission of her wali, her family, her father's side. They are the owners of the girl. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that kind of a marriage is batil, null and void. He said it 3 times. So don't make trouble with your parents to the extent that you will not be able to solve it till you get into marriage. Go and resolve the trouble at home. If the trouble still persists, look for the scholars of Sunnah in your community. Let them sit down with you and your parents to resolve the differences. Yes, there is a hadith that فَإِن تَشَاجَرَا فَالسُّلْطَانُ وَلِيُّ مَنْ لَا وَلِيَّ لَهَا. If there is trouble at home, it takes the matter to constituted authority to the courts. But it is when the scholars sit down with you and your parents, they will know what to tell you, whether your case has reached that case or not. It is not every time you want to marry a man. Most times, especially these days, that young children are thinking that they are more reasonable than their parents. A young girl can just look for one man that he's chatting with, and then she begins to say that she loves him. When the parents say, no, that's not a suitable husband, she decides to marry herself to the man. Don't behave like that. Don't behave like someone who does not have Islam. Go back home and resolve whatever you have with your parents. If your parents say don't marry, oh woman. If your parents are people of this deen, they understand the religion, and they are sensible people. When your parents say avoid the marriage. If your parents are people of religion, and they understand the religion very well, and they say don't marry, The most likely thing that is that if you marry, you regret that marriage. So follow your parents. Like the Prophet ﷺ told Abdullahi ibn Umar when Umar told him to divorce his wife. He did. She was a very good woman to him. Umar told his son to divorce a very good wife. Ibn Umar was saying, my mother, this woman is a very obedient wife. So I said, divorce her. Until the case got to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Prophet told Umar radiallahu anhu, Ibn Umar, the Prophet told Ibn Umar, ittabi abak, follow your father. So the same thing applies on marriage. If your father is a person who understands religion, and he will not do anything except upon religious considerations. If you say marry, marry. If you say leave her, divorce her. If your father is like Omar. So women, especially, their own case is stronger. They can't go to a man's house in the name of marriage unless their awliya give them out. So women go back home, go and resolve the matter. May Allah grant us success. Abba Rahman, I like to spend the rest of the time to tell us about the Arabic classes. Inshallah, as we have said, those classes were to have started on the 5th. On the 5th of Shawwal will be Sunday. But instead, it will be started on the 6th of Shawwal, which is Monday. The days of the lessons will be Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Mondays, Thursdays, and Saturdays between 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. 180 have been selected for the various classes. Like I explained, there are 6 classes. Class 1, 2, 3, males. Class 1, 2, 3, females. 180 have been selected from 760. So you can see each class has 30 students. Each class has 30 students, and there are 6 classes. So how many students will we have? 180. We had planned for 90. But when we saw that the application was high, we increased to 180. The classes will start with a general address on Monday. The classes will start with a general address on Monday. Then they will carry on Thursdays, on Saturdays, and Mondays. Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, 5 to 6 p.m. Those who have been selected have been contacted. Abba Abdurrahman, is that the case?
No, yes, most of them.
Most of them, 180.
Most of them, about 80% have been contacted.
About 80% have been contacted, and each of them, they placed them in classes, men and women. And we hope that the lessons will start. The books to be distributed in their WhatsApp groups. For each of the class, there's a WhatsApp group. There's also a Zoom page where they'll be doing their lessons. The lessons are going to be a little bit disconnected from this class. They have their own Zoom group. Each group with their teacher, they have their lessons. 30 students. Those in the first level will spend 3 months. Those in the second level will spend 5 months. Those in the third level will spend 6 months. Bismillah, they will be addressed on Monday, inshallah. I hope that it is clear. Amin wa antum jazakumullahu khair. We call it a day today, Abba Abdurrahman.
Yes.
We'll meet in class tomorrow morning, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum assalam.